fairly smoothly, though. Our country can't pay the bills, and you have enough trouble paying your own personal bills. It doesn't feel good. So is the current debt crisis stressing you out about your own financial trouble? The banks are broke and then turn around and take it out on you. And now you're broke with 29% interest and numerous unforgiving fees. It all adds up, and now you can't pay off your debt that's multiplying. Perhaps you're embarrassed or too stressed and get in worse trouble by not getting help. If this sounds like you, then listen up, because we have attorney John Mastriani from the Mastriani Law Firm with us this morning. He and his team focused primarily on defending the consumer caught up in debt issues. It's a tough situation, but we're going to help, and we're going to ask him some questions that you may be too embarrassed to ask. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Important stuff. It seems like everybody's talking about it these days. But how common is this? You know, years ago it was easy to pay your bills. Now it might be really, really difficult to do that. No one will seem to help you out. Why are we so in debt these days?
Well, you had mentioned the people should be embarrassed, or maybe are embarrassed to come and be. Actually, the people should be angry. It's the banks that have created this nightmare. They won't deal with the people in a fair manner whatsoever. Someone might get behind on their debt a little bit. They'll call up and ask them, hey, I might not be able to make the payment this month, or we're having an issue with respect to our ability to pay for a month or two. Is there any way you can help us out? They won't. They'll actually raise the rate, and they'll encourage a default and tell them, we can help you, but you have to be in the default situation. So in essence, the banks themselves are creating their own nightmare. The banks weren't afraid to go to Washington when they had a problem, but right now, with respect to the people, they turn their back on them.
A lot of times in a situation like this, the extreme would be bankruptcy. When is it okay to file for bankruptcy, or is it ever?
Well, bankruptcy is a good legal remedy for people, and they have curtailed a lot of the bankruptcy laws. I'm not a bankruptcy specialist, but my firm does also work with bankruptcy lawyers, and we do encourage a bankruptcy consult when they come to us in certain situations. It's more of an ad hoc determination with respect to the people, whether they should do it individually or not.
If somebody is out there and they're looking for help and they're trying to decide, who do I go to? What is the difference between someone like your firm, where you're a debt lawyer, versus the debt consolidation groups?
I don't believe I've had good experience with the people I've met that have been in the debt consolidation group prior. The debt consolidation group's number one, and they want to hold your money for you. In other words, they'll figure out the amount of money that they feel is comfortable that you should pay a month. So you're in the exact same situation as if you're paying the credit card company. But what I don't like about the debt consolidation groups, a lot of them disappear and the money is just paid into them and it's gone. We have so many people with that problem. And additionally, a debt consolidation group isn't a lawyer, so if you are sued, they can't actually go to court and defend you.
Now, it seems odd to some people, maybe, that they would have somebody defending them for debt when these debt companies can make people feel like a criminal for carrying high balances. At what point is it considered harassment when they're bothering you and they're calling you? They might be showing up at your home or bothering you at your place of business.
I think it's all harassment. I mean, they are calling and calling and calling. I mean, if you tell somebody on Monday you can't afford to pay it, why are they going to call you Tuesday? Why are they going to call you 2 or 3 times a day? I think they harass you, they intimidate you, and they try and demean you. There's no compassion or empathy, and that's what angers me with the banks, too, because the banks are the ones that are hiring these very people to harass you.
On your Texas Debt Defense website, you have some interesting information that I think can help a whole lot of people. But can you explain what is a debt buyer and what is a scavenger debt collector?
A debt buyer is there's a whole industry where people actually buy debt for pennies on the dollar. If someone falls behind on their credit card, they'll actually bundle them up in the pool and they'll sell it to a debt buyer, and then they come after you and try to collect. It's just a factoring company, actually.
If your loan has gone to a debt buyer or maybe a debt collector, at that point, is it too late to negotiate? Are you in trouble, or is there still a little wiggle room there?
It's actually never too late to negotiate. And the funny part about this scenario, which makes it so silly, I guess, is the longer it goes, the easier you are to get a settlement. You would think common sense would dictate you approach them up front like the consumer tries. We're having a little trouble, and work with you, but they don't. And the farther it goes, actually, with the debt buyer, it's a lot easier because they don't have the requisite paperwork to prove the debt more than.
A lot of people we were talking about earlier have so many problems with their bills, let's say a car, and they were able to pay that payment on time every single month. What happens at this point? You know, we're seeing the debt crisis, we're seeing people's debt get higher. What happens at this point if you just can't make that bill?
They're coming after you, unfortunately. Yeah. I've had people voluntarily return their vehicle and still be faced with a deficiency judgment of repossession costs. Well, how could there be a repossession cost? They drove it right to your lot and dropped it off, and they're just, it's greed, you know. You can get 30% interest on a credit card debt, but try going to the bank and ask them for 30% on the CD.
And
they'll throw you out. Yeah, they'll think you're crazy.
John Mastriani, great information this morning. We certainly appreciate your expertise.
Thank you.
Jose?
8:19 right now. You've heard about the travel